Coming up on a very special edition of the Locked On Jaguar Squad Show, our first ever live mock draft. This is why you subscribe to the Locked On Jaguars YouTube channel. For all of you hanging out with us for the next hour plus, we are going to make the selections for the Jaguars post free agency, post NFL Combine. Or should I say, these next two gentlemen will be making the selections.
So let's see. Mia is the driving force behind the show. So that means she's Gladstone. Marcus is the offensive line, the resident offensive lineman, and the person with the big picture. So he's Baselli. I guess that makes me Liam for the people out there. I'm gonna be trying to get something to get some weapons on the field right now. They got to talk me out of it though.
Let's do it, man. Hey, when you said T-Wig, we're gonna bring it in. We're gonna do the draft, and let's roll.
Duval. It's the Jaguars Squad. Everything Jacksonville Jaguars every week. Breaking down all the big hits and game-changing plays from the Sunshine State. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Gear up. The Jaguars Squad Show starts now.
What is going on, party people? Tell your friends we are live on Locked On Jaguars on YouTube. And of course, you could catch us on demand wherever you get your podcasts. Mia O'Brien, Tony T-Wig Wiggins, and the former Jaguar offensive lineman, Marques Ogden. You know, we're going to have some trench talk, probably some trench selections in this first ever live mock draft on the Locked On Jaguar Squad Show. Boys, I'm not kidding when I say I'll be, I guess, Gladstone, because I'm the one who's picking up the phone and calling the league. But ultimately, I'm kind of like Vanna White. I'm just directing this little program as you two are the ones actually saying, hey, that's what I want. Please, could I buy a letter or a vowel for 300, Alex? Now I'm confusing all my game shows. Point is, it's going to be a fun program. We are going to run through all of the Jaguar selections so long as the Pro Football Focus Simulator allows us to do so, because it has been finalized. The Jaguars are going to be selecting the following picks in the NFL draft in April. Pick 56, their lone second round pick. 3 picks in the third, 81, 88, 100. 1 selection in the fourth, 124. 2 selections, nearly back-to-back in the 5th round, 164 and 166. They have 1 6th-round selection, 203rd, and then 3 7th-round selections, 233, 240, and 245. Those are the ground rules. But before we get going, hello, gentlemen. How are you doing on this fine Wednesday?
Absolutely terrific. Doing real well.
Always great to be here.
Hey, well, we see Social and Hef both hanging out with us live here in the chat. Let your friends know that we are live for the next hour, and we are running through our first edition of the Jaguar Squad Show live mock draft. Let's get after it. We are using Pro Football Focus, and so, Hef, I know already you're shaking your head somewhere out there listening in Everydayer Nation. I understand that the rankings of PFF and thus the best available according to the simulator may not be what the consensus board or even what real general managers in the league believe the best available would be at that juncture. And so if there's a name or a number that you say, no, like I want this player, I don't care if it says that would be a C+ rating according to PFF, let's go with it. We're trying to keep this realistic. Now, boys, trades? Do you want to have trades? Do we want to discuss the odds of the Jaguars trading into the first round right off the top? Or what say you, T-Wig?
We can do trades, but not in the first round because they're so far back in the second round, it would cause a bounty for them to get up to the first.
All right, well, let's see if either of you call out a trade at any point in time during this little mock draft exercise. Here we go. The first ever live mock draft for your Jacksonville Jaguars and our squad show live on the Locked On Jaguars channel. We begin. To no surprise, Fernando Mendoza first off the board. And as T-Wig said, it's going to be a little bit different in Duval this year, not having, I wouldn't think at least, a massive presence of any kind celebrating the opening night of the NFL draft. But certainly on day 2, there are picks to be had for the Big Cats. Interesting that T-Wig doesn't think the Jaguars will trade back into the first, because I've heard that from plenty of folks. Marcus, could you see a world in which the Jaguars either trade back into the back half of the first or possibly move up in the second?
It's very possible, but like T. Wigg said, what's it going to cost you, right? It's more realistic to go into the first half of the second round because, again, it's going to cost you less. Getting into the first round from as far back as they are, and they do have 13 picks, which is great. You can kind of say, hey, I can give you maybe 3 picks for this. But again, we've always talked about giving up a lot of picks. It takes away from you getting some people in those later rounds that can add value to your team, especially those key positions like running back potentially, tight end potentially. So again, could they trade up? Sure. Do I think it's going to happen in the first round? Probably not. Going up early in the second round, that's a more likely possibility.
Let's lay out the scene for you guys at pick 56 in this mock draft simulation. The last 5 players selected. T-Wig's guy, D'Angelo Pons, off the board at 51 to the Carolina Panthers. R. Mason Thomas at 52 to the Packers. Chris Brazzell, the wide receiver out of Tennessee, to the Steelers. A.J. Halsey, one of the fast risers here in this final month in the lead up to the draft out of LSU, the safety, goes to the Eagles. And there it is, Jadarian Price, Jeremiah Love's running mate in the backfield at Notre Dame, goes to the Chargers at pick 55, which means, according to PFF, here are the best available players for the Big Cats. Eli Stowers, tight end out of Vanderbilt. Keontae Scott, corner out of Miami. Jennings Dunker, the tackle out of Iowa. Jake Galladay, the linebacker out of Cincinnati. Skylar Bell, wide receiver out of Connecticut. And Traydon Stukes, the corner out of Arizona. T-Wig, let's begin with you, and then we'll hear Marcus's case of what player or position group the Jaguars should be targeting. And as always, if you guys have a thought listening right now to this program live, leave it in the comment, leave it in the chat. We'd love to hear from you. And Marcus and T-Wig, if there's a specific position group you want me to filter through, let me know as well.
Yeah, so basically the way those last 5 or 6 picks went, there's only like one dude I would have wanted for the Jaguars anyway. And now with the way that this is set up, there's some people in here that I've actually liked a lot. The Keontae Scott as a nickel or a safety, Jennings Dunker, of course, from Iowa. I love drafting linemen from Iowa. But I probably would look to move back a little bit here. And if I cannot move back, I'm looking at my pick right now. What I would suggest to you guys is this. Look, let's just go ahead and grab an edge right now, an edge that I mentioned yesterday in Danny Dennis Sutton because of his length. It gives you a player that you can groom. Doesn't need to start right away, but it's at a position of extreme value. And I said extreme value. And he does track out to be a developmental starter with a high upside in the National Football League at 6'6", 256 pounds. So that's what I would suggest based on where we are right now and where the Jaguars are. Jennings Dunker could possibly come in and contend at right tackle, but I mean right guard, but I think they really, really, really like Wyatt Milam and not Cole Van Lanen, but Wyatt Milam at that position. And they still have Pat McCary. So I would look to you guys and say, let's just hit the edge right now and go with that.
Marcus, let me throw a couple more names at you that we've discussed in previous episodes. Certainly Derek Moore out of Michigan, the edge rusher, another rugged edge defender. As T-Wig alluded to, Danny Dennis Sutton also at the edge. Joshua Josephs out of Tennessee, another quick riser here in this final month and then the lead up to the draft. You also have Josiah Trotter, the linebacker out of Missouri. Perhaps as an off-ball linebacker, you plug and play for Devin Lloyd. Antonio Williams, the wide receiver out of Clemson. Davis, I'm always going to butcher his name, Igbinosun out of Ohio State. Grayson Halton, the defensive lineman out of Oklahoma. Our friend Big Citrus out of Iowa State, the defensive tackle. Elijah Surratt, wide receiver, Indiana. Or Zachariah Branch, another player who I know that T-Wig especially likes.
You know, again, edge, I know that makes sense. I like the guys, Bill 6'6", 256. He could be a great player potentially for the Jaguars. Like you said, they need to start right away, would compete to be a backup in the swing role position. But I always like taking offensive linemen. And again, Dunker has shown a lot of upside. He's been very aggressive in his one-on-ones in all of his bowl games. He's had good testing at the combine. And again, being coached by Kirk Ferentz, ladies and gentlemen, people don't remember, right? And I told you in the watch, I don't think I've told you all this. Jonathan's rookie offensive line coach in the NFL, Kirk Ferentz. That's who coached Jonathan when Jonathan was drafted by the Ravens, number 4 overall. Kirk Ferentz was the offensive line coach for the Baltimore Ravens at that time. He taught Jonathan a ton in only a year. And then he left from there and became the head coach at Iowa, hasn't left. All the linemen that I've seen from Iowa, we know Tyler Linderbaum has got a huge deal with the Raiders, right? We know that, there's the Iowa guys that have the physical gifts. They've been coached very well. Again, look at Greg Kills, who's a tight end, came out of Iowa, right? I just think you could really get somebody like a Dunker who could compete at right guard right away and could really push to make a start as a second-round pick. But also he's versatile enough where you can get in there and have him go to tackle if necessary. I don't know about center, but he can play 4 out of the 5 positions. Will he be a great left tackle? Probably not, but he could be serviceable at that position. Again, I like Keontae Scott also from Miami. He's got lots of upside. I watched him, when they played Ohio State. He was on fire. He was killing it, lighting it up. Great player. I got to watch him for a lot of all the playoffs. So really good player. I was thinking about him. I said, they've got some safeties. They need somebody to come in. And T-Wig, they need some attitude on the offensive line. I don't really believe they have that nasty streak player that that you so desperately need on offensive line. So again, I like the guy from Penn State. I like Keontae Scott, but I'm going to take Dunker because I just think he's a great fit that can compete right away and can also be, give you some depth at offensive line.
Social agrees. He does like Dunker. Our friend Hef agrees with what my response would be, Marcus, which is that there are guards that he likes more late in the later rounds that are also from Kirk Ferentz's Iowa offensive line factory. I agree with you that Dunker is the highest pedigree of this year's crop, but do you think at this point in time, T-Wig, knowing what the Jaguars have committed financially to their offensive line, could they afford to use pick 56 along that offensive line?
Yeah, they could, because whoever we are sitting here thinking that they have behind, whoever we're sitting there thinking that they're going to take up a lot of money can be let go after this season. So when you pick best player available, you're not necessarily thinking like the way fantasy football, like he has to play right now. But I would agree, a turn with Chris Rodriguez being a more physical running back, it might be this line is starting now to turn towards the physical aspects of it. The thing with me is, if you look at the group of edges and then you look at the group of guards, I'm pretty sure that the next best guard is the kid from Georgia Tech. And then after that, there's a serious drop off. So it may be a point where, look, can I get a guy? Can I get one right now? And if I don't get one right now, I probably won't be able to get a really good one later, unless you're talking about somebody like Cage Casey, who played tackle, but I also like him at guard, and Brian Parker also, who has that versatility. So I'm going to stick with my guy, though. I'm going to go with the high upside edge. And Mia, I'll let you decide, but you can't go wrong either way.
I do want to. You like Dennis Sutton. You're okay with that, Marcus? We're going to get you an offensive lineman, I promise.
Boo!
Well, so here's the thing. John's in the chat, and he is stumping for Markel Bell, another guy who I know you've studied, Marcus, out of Miami.
Yeah, but the problem, again, Markel Bell, again, when Jonathan was drafted at 6'9" as a tackle, they always, it's nothing to y'all. Like, that's why I say draft a lineman, because, again, T-Wig made an excellent point, right, Mia? There's such a huge drop-off in talent at the position when you kind of go from these top guys, the next grade down really far. There's a lot of defensive end, well, I'll say a lot, but there's more edge rushing talent in the draft than there is O-line talent, right? Yep. Especially as a guy like Dunker who played tackle, and then he can come into guard. That just shows me he's going to have better footwork than most college guards. So there's a lot of those things in that regard. So, like I say, I mean, if you
he's making a great case. Like, honestly,
he's actually making me want to change my mind.
I mean, you got a running back that's going to run downhill. Okay, tell me right now, Who is the guy on the inside, right? And again, I like Ezra Cleveland, but Ezra is not a physical smash mouth football player. Hainsey is not a physical smash mouth football player. Again, Patrick McCarhay is not either. Neither is Walker Little. So give me a smash mouth, run downhill type of offensive line that we have right now.
And you can never go wrong. And Big Bo is probably going to have a lot to say about that too. And you can't go wrong. They do like Wyatt Milam. I am a fan of at least getting 3 offensive linemen every 2 years. You can't probably take 2 every year, but 3 every 2 years usually puts you in a position where you are never without one. So if you want to swing for Jennings Dunker,
we don't have any. Again, okay. So we've got Josh Hines Allen, super athletic. I mean, you look like you're drafting almost another Trayvon Walker. Like, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, again, they got the same type of build. And now, again, is he going to be able to, like, also, you draft a guy 6'6", 256 pounds. Is he going to be a guy that can stop the run? Again, you got to remember, this is a run. The league likes to run. I mean, you got Jonathan Allen with the Colts. You've got, D'Amico Ryans, who play against D'Amico Ryans. He loves to be physical. I mean, and the Titans, I mean, they have nothing. They're going to have to run the football. So, like, you're drafting a guy who's not going to be able to give you a lot in stopping the run also. So,
yeah, but with the Jaguars right now, and they said this, what's the one area you need to improve? Without hesitation, it was pass rush. And that's a concern with me, that if you keep passing the buck down and trying to get veterans instead of having that third guy, that long, angular, this is all about just being able to rush the passer and sub packages and being able to play with length and to move Trayvon around a little bit. But I think we can find a dude like that to do that later. If we want to go power runner with Jennings Dunker, that could be something where we say, okay, we put that in the bag and we ain't got to look at offensive line again, maybe until late in the draft.
Yeah, like 5th round. You can get a high quality guy that can come in that can play both sides. Come on, Gladstone, you gotta get.
You've made the case. You've made the case, Marcus. I'm gonna try it. I haven't run a simulation yet where the Jaguars selected an offensive lineman at 56. But what I really like, and for those of you, the 40 plus of you who are watching live on YouTube, this is, if you're watching right now, this is in my opinion, the best argument that Marcus could have made, which is when you pull up just the available offensive linemen at tackle as well as the interior. It's Jennings Dunker, Caleb Tiernan, the tackle out of Northwestern, Keelan Rutledge out of Georgia Tech, who I know is also a fan favorite. You've got several centers, including Jake Slaughter out of Florida, Sam Hecht out of K-State, Logan Jones out of Iowa, Markel Bell, I know you Miami fans love him. Then you get to Cage Casey and Brian Parker and Bo Stevens, also of Iowa, more of those versatile guys that maybe you could get later on day 2. But after that, you are absolutely right, Marcus. This class falls off a cliff unless you're banking on, a Jaden Roberts who maybe falls through the cracks, the Alabama guard who also has some nasty to him. I could see that potentially. Inez Cooper out of Miami, also a nasty. But again, to your point, in terms of technician with footwork, you know what? Let's try it, T-Wig. I don't think you've run any simulations where they went off. Oh, he's got something in front. I can't see what you wrote down.
Jennings Dunker. I changed it 5 minutes ago when Marcus was talking.
All right, we're going to do it. We're going to see what happens if the Jaguars are to bring perhaps the most visibly Duval prospect in this class to Jacksonville. If you have not seen Jennings Dunker's mullet yet, you need to.
Awesome.
He is a Florida man waiting to be had. All right, so that's at pick 56. We keep it moving. Here is pick 81 for the Jags. The last 5 picks off the board. Keelan Rutledge, the aforementioned guard out of Georgia Tech. Romello Height, the undersized edge out of Texas Tech. Elijah Surratt out of Indiana. Max Clare, the tight end out of Ohio State. And Deion Burks, the wide receiver out of Oklahoma. They are off the board. The best available according to PFF. T-Wig's guy, Darrell Jackson out of Florida State. Connor Liu, the center out of Auburn. Chandler Rivers, the corner out of Duke. Devin Moore, the corner out of Florida. Sam Hecht, center out of K-State. And wouldn't you know, Anthony Hill, linebacker, Texas, still available at pick 81. What say you, boys?
There it is.
That's
Anthony
it?
Hill. Anthony Hill from Texas. I got you. Take him. You take him to compete. I think Ventrell Miller's going to start next to Foy Oluokun before he is getting older, and you're going to have Anthony Hill for 4 years. And I believe this is the last year of Ventrell Miller's contract. So this is where you get into a situation where you bring somebody in to compete. If you strike gold, you strike gold. If he needs a little bit more time to develop, he is also, even though he's 6'2", 238, he is very, very good in coverage. He had some interceptions. He runs sideline to sideline. I spotlighted him yesterday. It's a position of need, and they need the body, and I like the body type. So that's the argument that I'll make for Anthony Hill Jr.
Hef and Social also vote Hill. What do you vote, Marcus?
Yeah, so now Anthony Hill, I like him. Now Daryl Jackson is the D tackle of Florida State, right?
Yep.
Yeah. What's his height and what are his measurements?
6'5", about 330 or something like that, right?
337. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, again, T-Wig, do you want to stop the run? Or do you want to cover the pass? Do you want to have a guy that drops back in pass coverage? So here's the question to ask yourself. Do you think that Daryl Jackson at that spot will have enough opportunity? Do you think he's good enough to kind of push for a starting role if he's able to come in? And do you think he could beat out Armstead or at least get into the rotation and compete with Armstead?
He'll be a backup nose. He's a nose. He's not a 3 technique.
Oh, at 6'5", he's not a nose?
No. He is a nose.
He's not a 3.
He's not a 3.
Nah.
Yeah. So he would be a backup. So yeah. I would, and they do stop the run already pretty good. And I know you can always continue to improve that. Yeah, I just think that Anthony Hill is a better football player than Daryl Jackson. Now,
I was, and I remember, and again, that's why I was asking. I remember him being about 6'5", 6'6", right? So he's kind of like, he's more like a John Henderson than a Marcus Stroud. Is that what you're telling me?
Absolutely.
Yeah, then Hill is the right pick, because when I heard him, I said, yes, linebacker, off-ball linebacker that can play in coverage, that's aggressive, that can run, that can tackle. Again, the team having a 1 is be a nice like late round pick, but you don't want to draft someone in the 3rd round, your 2nd pick overall, to come in at the 1. Now, if there was a 3, we're having a different conversation. We've been looking for a 3 technique to complement Devon Hamilton, but drafting someone to come in and back up Devon Hamilton that high, you're looking for players that can compete to at least either start or get into the game, with more snaps than this a quote unquote backup or rotational guy. So I totally agree. Anthony Hill, from Texas, the linebacker, is a better pick. He fits the scheme. Again, the Jaguars are going to be speed on defense at that size and those dimensions. He fits well with what the Jaguars need to replace. Lloyd's gone. Older players are getting older. They could use some youth at outside, or as you all call him, off-ball linebacker.
And the good news is that the Jaguars will pick again at 88. To the commenter, one of our everydayers at Social, who asked, is Grayson Halton gone? Yes. In this simulation, he went 69th nice to the Houston Texans. We're rolling with Anthony Hill at 81, but don't worry, because the Jaguars are right back on the clock at pick 88. Daryl Jackson just went to the Miami Dolphins. And so best available, according to PFF, Chandler Rivers, the corner out of Duke, Sam Hecht, the center out of K-State, Sam Roush, the tight end out of Stanford, Dalen Everett, the corner out of Georgia. These two are interesting. And T-Wig, I'm sure you have a thought on these two, as well as a third I'll throw in there. LT Overton, the edge out of Alabama. Kieron Crawford, the edge out of Auburn. I'm going to pull up his measurables in a second because he is a freakazoid.
No, he's a freak. Yeah.
And then Rayshawn Benny, the defensive lineman out of Michigan. So T-Wig, what do we need to know about some of these available cats?
All right. So LT Overton is your strong side defensive end. He's a 4B, not a serious pass rusher. He could also line up at 5 technique in an odd front. The other kid, Kieran, is a freak. He's a pass rushing. He can stand up, put his hand on the ground. And this is a little bit projection, but this does go back to, this goes to traits. This goes to athleticism. This goes to that type of profile. That length at 6'4.5", 6'5", hanging around 250. He just looks the part. He just looks like what you like. He looked the long arms, the pass rush. So if you're going to take a situational pass rusher, a 3rd down player who could also double as a core special teams player. Of this group, he's the guy.
How about you, Marcus? Any of those names tickle your fancy, or do you want to look perhaps at a wide receiver in Ted Hurst or Malachi Fields, Genesis Smith, the safety from Arizona, also lurking as well?
No, I mean, again, I think we have enough in the wide receiver room. And again, we talked about this, right? Wigg came over for Dunker. I like the pick again, this is where you want to spend your draft pick in the third round for a guy that's situational, that can come in and give you still some great speed and some great havoc off the edge. That's exactly what they need. So for this, on like sub packages, you can move Trayvon into 3 technique, take Armstead out, bring this guy in off the edge, have Hines out on the other side. You could maybe bring one of the other defensive ends, like, Stroganoff or BJ Green to go in on the other end, on the other 3 or the 1, double up on the outside gaps off the outside gaps off the guard shoulder, and bring this guy in, as the left end over the right tackle, who is normally a worse pass blocker than the left tackle, with speed and havoc. And so this is a great pick to get somebody like that. Again, second round is just too high for a sub package player like that. But at the third round, their third pick, yeah, that's the kind of guy you said, about 6'5", 250. He's a total type of edge rusher that the Jaguars need when they're going to go into like sub packages and go into third and long to get after the quarterback. So yeah, he's the guy I would pick as well.
His body type is like a former Georgia Bulldog and Los Angeles Ram, Leonard Floyd. That when I see him play, that's exactly what he reminds me of. Not quite as twitchy, but still, that's what.
So Crawford out of Auburn is our pick at 88, boys.
Yep.
Wait. Right. Leonard Floyd. You mean Leonard Little?
No. Floyd that played at Georgia and then was a stand-up edge rusher with the Rams and the Bears.
Okay, I'm thinking about it. He actually kind of, based off the bill, he kind of reminds me a little bit like Leonard Little, who played defensive out of Tennessee.
Pretty much same.
6'4", 240, 250, real, cut, real speedy, gave tackles lots of trouble with his speed off the edge. And again, the Jaguars are going to need somebody to come in that can really compete right away and bring havoc off that edge. They need that. Again, right, T-Wig? Third round, third pick. That's the spot for that kind of player. I love that pick.
So let's hit one more from day 2 before we take our first time out. So this is with pick 100, available for the Jaguars. Garrett Nussmeier, if you're looking at backup quarterbacks, I don't think the Jaguars are, but just going to throw that out there. This is according to PFF. Malachi Fields, the wide receiver out of Notre Dame, already getting some buzz in our chat from the everydayers. Jay-Sean Barman, the edge out of Michigan. Keyshawn Elliott, the off-ball linebacker out of ASU. Zakeem Wheatley, the safety out of Penn State. Malik Muhammad, the corner out of Texas. Michael Trigg out of Baylor, the tight end. And, of course, Dante Corleone, one of our favorite characters. I don't know necessarily about fits, but characters, the nose tackle out of Cincinnati.
All right. Out of all of those guys, I'm super, super intrigued by a multitude of them. But it's really I'm really tempted to take Cronover, the big right tackle from Texas A&M, because now you double back, you double up, and I think if you do that, you really shut down your offensive line. That's 9 people that you have that you can really, really count on, and then that gives you the flexibility to finally do what no one has done for the 3 years, and that is move Anton Harrison to the left tackle, which was where he played in high school and college. But for the sake of this, I'm going to say, okay, we haven't brought back Tim Patrick. We got 4 wide receivers. And there's one in here with some magic to him, and that's Malachi Fields. Big, strong, fast. I'm sure he can probably block at 6'4", 222. And he is a high point catcher in the red zone. He runs a little bit faster than his time would indicate. I think this is a good spot to sew up your wide receiver room and have somebody in there that doesn't look like everyone else. And we always hear coaches talk about how they love a basketball team and that. I'd take Malachi Fields if it was me.
He had 1 drop in 2025 with the Fighting Irish. Marcus, your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm taking Fields. That was my guy. I was considering him at the third round pick at 88, But again, it's a guy that I definitely want. And again, T, here's the thing, right? Drafting the tackle. Here's my question. If Harris was a left tackle in high school and in college, and he is the right tackle now, but they've struggled at that position, why have they not moved him over there? Because it's harder, I feel, to play left tackle than right tackle. So Cole, if that's the case, they don't need to draft anybody there. Put Harrison to left and bring Cole to right. Like, that just seems to make more sense if that's where he played in college, and if that's what he's looking to do for the long haul, because they really are struggling at the left tackle position right now anyway. So
yeah, no one has ever done it. You've had two different staffs and no one moved him. And
right, I don't understand that.
He must project out right where he is at right tackle.
It's got to be where his footwork is not as sound as you need it to be a left tackle in the National Football League. Because again, there's been plenty of chances for him to be moved from right to left. When Walker Little went down, they could have moved him over. I mean, that's what I was thinking. If that's what I was thinking. Walker, when he got hurt, put Harris in the left and put Cole over the right. But then they didn't do that. I'm like, that maybe he's just not a left tackle. That's fine, right? But again, I don't think moving him is what they plan on doing. So I wouldn't draft the tackle, even though the guy seems like to have a potential great opportunity as far as his build and all that. I do like Malachi Fields. Like, that was my pick as soon as I heard he was still on the board at 6'4", 220, played at Notre Dame, big school, big competition, only one drop, right? You can say he can block. They need that. Again, I tell you what, if they draft him at that spot, I don't see them re-signing Tim Patrick unless it's for dirt cheap. So again, but that's the kind of guy you need.
Great shout from Hef 2. Malachi Fields, a former quarterback, finds the soft spots in zone coverage. We saw Jacoby Myers' success as a former college quarterback at the wide receiver position in Liam Cohen's system in year one. Malachi Fields is the pick at number 100. We're going to let the simulator keep running while we take our first time out. We're already 30 minutes in. We've got a whole heck of a lot of picks to still make here on this Locked On Jaguar Squad Show live mock draft. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back. College basketball is nonstop. Take it from me. Big games, tight spreads, momentum swings every night. From early tip-offs to late-night West Coast shootouts, there is always action on the board, especially this week. And now FanDuel is giving you a way to turn that energy into even bigger potential wins with a college basketball parlay profit boost. You could build any college hoops parlay you want, rivalry games, ranked matchups, whatever fits for you. You can mix spreads, totals, and player props to match how you see the slate playing out. Then you apply the profit boost and instantly bump up the potential payout. Make sure you check out all the odds for those Florida teams heading into the big games up ahead this week. Go safe, go bold, ride with the team you've been following all season. It's your parlay, your style, now with more upside behind it. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com. FanDuel, play your game. Oh, they both already were tired of me? They both already jetted out. Tony Wiggins, Marques Ogden, Mia O'Brien, although both of those boys must be in the little girls' room or something right now. As we are running through, here they come. We are running through this week's mock draft simulation. We've never done one of these live. Tony must have gotten sick of us, Marcus. Or he went to the little boys' room. That's okay. Our time is limited, so we are running through all of the draft picks for the Jaguars. It's the first time we've ever tried this on the Squad Show. We appreciate your interaction, so keep it coming as we head to day 3 of this would-be simulation of the Jaguars mock draft or the Jaguars draft in April. So here we are, pick 124, Marcus. Ooh, Hef in the chat's not going to like this one. Here are the last 5 players who were selected in this simulation. Mikael Kamara. Hi, T-Wig. We're back. We're ready to pick it in the 4th round at pick 124. Mikael Kamara, the edge out of Indiana, goes at 119. Bo Stevens, that other offensive lineman out of Iowa, at 120 to the Packers. Will Lee, the corner out of A&M, at 121 to the Steelers. Reggie Virgil, the wide receiver out of Texas Tech, to 122. Here's the one that Hef's not going to like. One pick ahead of the Jaguars. Landon Robinson out of the United States Naval Academy to the Chargers at 123. The Jaguars pick at 124. Best available players according to PFF. Carson Beck out of Miami. Cage Casey, the tackle out of Boise State. Tacario Davis, the corner out of Washington. Chris McClellan, defensive lineman out of Mizzou, formerly of Florida. Brian Parker, the tackle out of Duke, who can play all 5 positions along the O-line. Seth McGowan, the running back out of Kentucky. Jalen Kilgore, the high-flying corner out of South Carolina, amongst others. Marcus, let's start with you. Who might your pick be at 124 this week?
I like Kilgore. I like that. Yeah, high flying, great speed. Loves to hit. From what I saw, he was absolutely lights out. Great sideline to sideline speed. He will get in there. He will hit. He will get his nose in there, get his face in there. And again, at that pick, you then can get a guy that can really come in and compete. Again, like you said, what does T-Wig always talk about? Bring somebody in that's going to up the level of competition in the room. We've addressed O-line with Dunker. We got a good wide receiver. We picked up a good edge rusher. So I like where we're headed. And again, like I said, this is where you really want to be. So I truly think it's a great fit. So again, you had a lineman, offensive lineman, then you had a linebacker, then you had a edge rusher, and a wide receiver. I love getting an aggressive corner that flies around, that hits hard, that tackles well. Again, another guy from a big conference, SEC, knows how to play against top competition. And again, we need some guys in there that can compete and up the level of competition and the speed of practicing on your team. So I like Kilgore.
Now, T-Wig, before I get your rebuttal, Daniel and Hef, both in the chat, also noting that a tight end has not been selected in this simulation yet by the Jaguars. And Hef cast his vote for Nate Borkacher. I'm always going to mispronounce his name too, the tight end out of Texas A&M. What say you, T-Wig?
I like him. I like the completeness of his game. Y'all know I'll never take a move tight end. That's just not in me. But Chris McClellan is intriguing. Can you go to the defensive tackles and see?
Yes, most definitely. Let's take a look, see.
And see, I'm looking for somebody in particular.
So we've got amongst the defensive linemen still available, Chris McClellan, Tim Keenan out of Alabama, DeMonte Capehart out of Clemson, Albert Regis out of A&M, and Zane Durant out of Penn State are your top 5 best available.
All right, I would say I'll double and go with Kilgore, but with the understanding he's not going to play outside. He's either going to be a big nickel safety like a corner, or he's going to play free safety, in my opinion, or even strong safety. He's a headhunter. And he's violent. And I've heard that word come out of Anthony Campanelli's mouth before, violent. So I think this is a good spot to take him. It's kind of similar to Antonio Johnson when he came out of A&M. It's like, why is he still here? A little bit, kind of got that size, and you can't really nail down the position that you like him in, but he's a good football player. So, yeah, I would second Jalen Kilgore.
All right, let's take Jalen Kilgore out of South Carolina with pick 124. A good time to remind you guys that the Los Angeles Rams have not selected a corner earlier than day 3 since the 2019 NFL draft. Where did James Gladstone and Liam Cohen get their quote-unquote PhDs in football? You guessed it, with the Los Angeles Rams. Now, I do expect the Rams to go corner a bit higher, maybe not so much after the Trent McDuffie trade earlier this offseason. I think that philosophy may shift a little bit in light of what the Seattle Seahawks are doing out there in the NFC West, but just file that one away as well. We continue. Our time is short, so we're going to keep it moving. Pick 162. The Jaguars are on the clock. They have picks 162 and 164 in the 5th round. Would you look at that, boys? Look who is the best available player on the board. It is Nate Borkacher out of Texas A&M, the tight end, 6'4", 250 pounds. Do we make Hef happy and we just pick him right then and there?
I say go for it.
All right,
Agreed.
we're going to take the first tight end the Jaguars have selected in this simulation. A guard out of Auburn, Jeremiah Wright, goes at 163. The Jaguars are right back on the clock. Marcus, let's go to you. Here are the best available. Katron Allen, the running back out of Penn State. Joe Royer, the tight end out of Cincinnati. Capehart, the defensive lineman out of Clemson. Some other names, Cade Klubnik, the quarterback out of Clemson. Kevin Coleman, another wide receiver out of Mizzou. Josh Cameron, the wide receiver out of Baylor, who also has return capability. Michael Taffy, the captain of the Texas Longhorns, and safety. So there's a lot of names here on the board. Is there a position perhaps, or maybe one of these names is jumping out to you?
Give me the so who are the best available running backs left? I like the running backs you said, but give me a little more about who's available left in the running back class.
Absolutely. So Katron Allen is still available out of Penn State. Damon Claiborne, the running back out of Wake Forest. Jamari Taylor out of Virginia. Kalon Black, who I know was one of your guys during the college football playoff, out of Indiana. And then Eli Heidenreich, who is quickly becoming a fan favorite on this program, and many others in Duval, the fullback, running back, slot receiver, do it all out of the United States Naval Academy.
Yeah, tell me about the guy from Indiana. What was his dimensions? I'm either looking for. I'm going with the running back. I either like the guy from Penn State or like the guy from. Give me the guy from Indiana's measurables. Give me the both measurables for the Penn State running back and the Indiana one.
Yeah, Indiana's Kalon Black, 5'10", 211 pounds, a redshirt senior. Katron Allen is also a senior, 23 years of age, 5'11", 219, so slightly bigger.
Slightly, yeah. I mean, I'm going to go just because I saw him more, the running back from Indiana. Again, running back is where I draft, right? So if T-Wig says a guy from Penn State's better with more attributes that fit the Jaguars, then I'm all for it. But I just remember watching the Indiana running back in the playoffs and in the championship game. He had a good showing. And again, the Jaguars could use, right, we talked about before, Matt Tony, a late round pick at running back to come in and give some youth to that room. So I'm going to go with the running back out of Indiana.
Now, to that point, Marcus, this is from our friend Social, one of our everydayers. Claiborne, the running back out of Wake Forest, gives you a scat back and a receiver, which is also different from the rest of that room. And I'd be remiss if I also didn't mention some of our friends in the chat want us to check, T-Wig, that defensive line best available. And Zane Durant is still available.
That's my pick.
Out of Penn State.
That is why I did not argue with the last pick, because I saw where he was on the list and I figured you can get him. He's an athletic freak. It ran like a 4.75 40, 6'1", 287 pounds, or 290, around 290. And he doesn't have to be the prospect that everyone wants. He played at a big time school and he's disruptive and athletic. The Rams have guys like that. Seattle has guys like that. Denver had guys like that. We wanted one on John Franklin Myers. I say we go for it and get that 3 technique.
Now, Hef does bring up a good point. Claiborne also has some return ability if we do want to go back to running back. Or do we roll the dice and say the running back will be waiting in the 6th round, Marcus?
So the running back, I believe, will still be there. But here's the thing. You're telling me he's a 3 technique at 6'1"?
6'1", yep. And
3 technique?
And there's a bunch of them in the league now that are doing that. And I remember last year. I mean, if we want to start naming them from Grady Jarrett to all of those dudes, and we ain't going to even mention Aaron Donald because that's different. But the Tampa Bay Bucks took a dude that was 6 feet, Kalijah Clancy, in the 1st round. If you can play, you can play. And we're talking about a 4th round pick at a position that we haven't addressed. What he is
true.
He's a small package player who provides interior pressure.
I mean, I don't like taking guys at 3 that are small, because in the NFL, right, if you as a guard, if you have any type of athletic footwork, right? Now, of course, there are freaks. There are Aaron Donalds of the world. I get all that, right? You know what I'm saying? I get all that. But normally at a guard, right, unless you're an Aaron Donald freak in that regard, it's hard to pass rush against guards if you don't have long arms and good moves. Now, doesn't mean it can't happen, but T-Wig, he rode with me on the dunker pick. So if he thinks that Zane Durant is that guy at a 3, and he believes in his ability to get after the quarterback at that position in the 4th round, it is, I won't call it a gamble. I mean, you could probably get a guy like, this is where you start talking, right, T-Wig? Like, not starting, but when you're fourth rounder, you're looking for them to contribute in some fashion their rookie year. That means it could be a big contribution, but some sort of contribution. So I'd say if T. Wigg believes that much in his ability to play the 3 at 6'1", then let's ride it and see what happens. Because you can still probably get a running back later on, and he's right. We have not addressed the 3 technique at this time yet.
So we will pick Zane Durant with that second, 5th round pick for the Big Cats. Let's take one more time out. When we come back, we're hitting the 6th and 7th round, 6-7 of this week's Jaguars Squad Show live mock draft. Don't go anywhere. Still a whole lot to do. Workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to still fill is sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. They help you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for: skills, experience, location. So you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's the stat that says it all. In the last few seconds that I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data, worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who actually check the boxes with Indeed sponsored jobs. Spend less time searching, more time actually interviewing those candidates. Less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. All right, boys, let's keep it moving in this edition of the Locked On Jaguars Squad Show. I see our Kentucky contingent, Meister, has joined us. Maybe we can steal another Kentucky player on day 3 of this mock draft simulation. The 6th and the 7th round still to go. The Jaguars with one 6th round pick. That pick coming at 202. This says 203. So it is 203. In the simulator, it's 202. Same difference. Best available for the Big Cats. Eli Heidenreich, again, becoming a fan favorite, the fullback out of Navy. Tanner Koziel, the tight end out of Houston. Cole Wisniewski, safety out of Texas Tech. And a couple other safeties in Bishop Fitzgerald out of USC. VJ Payne, Lorenzo Styles. Red Murdoch, linebacker out of Buffalo, still lurking around. Somehow Skylar Gill-Howard is still on the board, too, the defensive lineman out of Texas Tech. But I digress. T-Wig, we started with Marcus with the 4th round picks. Let's go to you to make your case for pick 203.
Yeah, 203. I can't believe what I'm seeing, but Oscar Delp is still there for Georgia at tight end. Oscar Delp ran a report at 4.48 today in his workout. He did not work out at the combine. At 6'5", 245, a complete developmental player, can block, has the athletic profile that you would not believe. I think it's a no-brainer to go ahead and double up at tight end for a team that values tight ends and sometimes uses 3 at one time on the field. So that's the way I go. And plus, they only have 2. They only really have 2. You think about Long, and you think they could probably move on from that. So I would go for Oscar Delp for the value.
How about you, Marcus?
Yeah, I mean, at those measurables, 6'5", 245, 250, running a 4.48, the only question I have, what the hell is he doing on the board in the 6th round with those measurables?
Because he had a hairline fracture in his foot, and he didn't work out at the combine, and he wasn't allowed to. So he worked out today at Georgia and pumped a 4.48.
Well, I tell you what, man, with that type of running, I don't know if he's going to beat now. Again, it's according to the simulator. So if he's there, grab him.
All right, we're grabbing him.
Grab him. Yeah.
Oscar Delp, if you're there in the 6th round, you are a Jacksonville Jaguar. We keep it moving. Again, this is using the PFF simulator, so it is not an exact science. Some of these players you're seeing in the 6th and 7th round could end up going earlier in day 3, could end up sneaking into the 2nd round, but it's just one simulation. The Jaguars have 3 7th round picks. I was long ago told that 7th round picks, much like any other day 3 pick, but especially in this final round of the draft, are just throwing darts against a wall. But at this juncture, let's take a look at who we have selected in this mock draft. Jennings Dunker, the tackle out of Iowa with the 2nd-round pick. Anthony Hill, the linebacker out of Texas. Kayron Crawford, the edge rusher out of Auburn. Malachi Fields, the wide receiver out of Notre Dame with those 3 third-round picks. Jalen Kilgore, the do-it-all corner in the 4th round out of South Carolina. Nate Borkercher, the tight end out of Texas A&M. Zane Durant, the defensive lineman out of Penn State. And then Oscar Delp, who you guys just heard us select, another tight end out of Georgia. So Marcus still needs his running back. Here are some other best available players. Parker Brailsford, the center out of Alabama. Robert Henry, the running back out of UTSA. Riley Nowakowski, the tight end out of Indiana. And 2 wide receivers out of Georgia still on the board. Colby Young, Noah Thomas. Marcus, let's go to you. I think you want me to pull up the running back group, yes?
That's correct.
All right, let's pull it up. At the running back position, the best available, Robert Henry, again, out of UTSA. Terrion Stewart out of Virginia Tech. Terrion Stewart checks in at 5'9", 222. Rashul Faison out of South Carolina, more of a bulldozer variety, 6 foot 218. And then you also do have, and these 2 are interesting names, so I'm curious your thoughts. I don't know too much about Chip Trainium out of Toledo. I do know Jamal Haynes out of Georgia Tech, the converted wide receiver, 5'9", 190, who also could have some return ability. And then Jam Miller, the running back out of Alabama, 5'10", 221, who was injured late in the year. Any of these names? We could throw out Adam Randall out of Clemson as well. Any names speaking to you, Mark?
You know what? I'm going to go either Jam Miller or the running back from the other one who was the from
South Carolina.
The one
Georgia Tech.
Return ability.
Georgia Tech. Yep, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
Jamal Haynes.
I like it because he's a scat back. He sounds more like a guy that can kind of come in and be like that scat back who can really complement Rodriguez and Tootin and like really be a good player, special teams guy, can come in there, maybe do a little punt return, maybe, who knows. So let's go with the running back out of Georgia Tech. I like his build, and I think he can add great value in that regard.
You'll also be all very upset to hear that Caden Weegan, the do-it-all return man, the best return man in the Big Ten last year out of Iowa, went 1 pick before the Jaguars to the Rams in this simulation because, of course, he did. The Jaguars back on the clock at pick 240. I did see some votes in the chat asking if Barian Brown, the wide receiver who began his career at Kentucky, finished at LSU, is still on the board because the Jaguars do have a need at returner with Parker Washington's elevated role. Let's take a look. I do not see Barian Browning. I see, there he is. He's down there, 373. Barian Brown is still available if you guys think double dipping at wide receiver could be in the cards for the Big Cats.
I think he's an undrafted free agent.
Okay.
But I do think he's the type that will make a team. Take a look at the offensive tackle position for me.
Let's do it. We got, I'm not even going to attempt to say his name, out of Wake Forest, Keegan Trost out of Missouri, Riley Mahlman out of Wisconsin, Micah Pettis out of Florida State. I haven't
Tristan Lee from Clemson. I don't think he'll be here. I have seen him going in the 5th round, but if he is, since he is still here, let's take him.
All right.
Marcus, you got a problem with Tristan Lee?
No. I mean, again, if he's supposed to be going the 5th round, but he's still here in the 7th round. Yeah, again, big school, ACC. And again, I'm sure Trevor Lawrence will love to have another Clemson guy on the football field. So let's go with him.
All right, one more selection to make for the Big Cats. We've already double dipped at tight end, but there is a Michigan tight end in Max Bredesen available. Terrion Stewart out of Virginia Tech, Jalen Daniels, the quarterback out of Kansas, DJ Harvey, the corner out of USC. Those are the best 4 remaining. I did see someone in the chat ask about Cole Payton, the quarterback out of North Dakota State. He is still available in this simulation, but do you boys believe the Jaguars would pick a quarterback with this one of these 7th round flyers?
Yes. And I see the guy I want because he's rhythmic. And if he doesn't make it in the NFL as a player, he's going to end up being a coach. This kid, Luke Altmaier from Illinois. I like Luke Altmaier.
Oh, yeah. I've been hearing about him. Yeah. I'm surprised he's actually still there. Yeah. If he's there, I take him. Like, I've been watching him on some ESPN stuff. Like, one of my good friends, Tony Pascho's, played at Illinois as well. And so good pedigree of football. What's that? Is that Big 12? I think
Big 10.
Big 10. Yeah, he's Big 10.
Big 10. Yeah, man. I like it. I like it a lot. So I would go with the quarterback from Illinois for sure.
He definitely looks like someone who would play for Sean McVay, or he kind of reminds you of Brock Purdy a little bit too. So he doesn't run like Purdy, but he's a pretty good athlete, has that whip it motion. And like I said, he just looks like a dude that if he doesn't make it, he's going to end up with a hat and a whistle. So, and be one of those understudies for those guys. So I think that's a good fit, and it gives him a little bit of competition for the third quarterback. You remember they were running guys in and out of here on the practice squad, Mia. So this would be a good dude to have, and you could bring him along.
Let's take one of the.
Who's the backup quarterback right now?
Nick Mullins.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, man. I mean, you could use some young blood in there. I mean, Nick Mullins is not really a proven, veteran guy. I mean, so you never know what happens with some young guys coming in there. Yeah, man, I like this pick.
Timmy Devil says, I'm sorry, these picks are consenting that these players are not going to play at all in 2026, right? Linebacker, lineman that high, a wide receiver. Don't worry, Timmy. We're going to discuss all of our picks in this first ever live mock draft after the world's shortest timeout. And we are back. It's time to discuss the selections we made in this live mock draft on Locked On Jaguars. Here they are, folks. In case you weren't with us for the entire way, we're not paying attention to the grades. We are paying attention to the names. Jennings Dunker, tackle out of Iowa, the pick at 56 after a compelling case made by one Marques Ogden. In the third round, the Jaguars go linebacker, edge, wide receiver, Anthony Hill, Kayron Crawford, and Malachi Fields, respectively. Jalen Kilgore, the pick in the fourth round. Nate Borkercher, the pick at tight end, and the first of two fifth-round picks. Zane Durant, the defensive lineman out of Penn State, the second. Double dip at tight end with Georgia's Oscar Delp with the lone sixth-round pick. And then in the seventh, Jamal Haynes, the running back out of Georgia Tech, converted wide receiver. Tristan Lee, another offensive lineman at 240. And then a developmental quarterback in Luke Altmaier with pick 245. How did we do, Marques Ogden?
I thought we did well. We addressed some needs. Again, we've been talking about the Jaguars needing a physical right guard. I think Dunker can bring some physicality, some nastiness. We've been looking for an edge rusher. We addressed that. I love T-Wig talking about, Zane Durant, a 6'1", 3 technique. Again, that's something that I'm not used to seeing a lot of. But again, the game is different. So if he sees a lot in him, I support him, right? Tight ends, we could use some more to go along with Britton Strange, right? We got a running back late in the draft. That was good. We got some help, at linebacker with Anthony Hill. So, we addressed a lot of the needs that we've been chatting about with getting some, and I love Kilgore as a violent safety or big-time nickel that can come in and be aggressive. Again, I think not all these players, some of these guys can compete to play right away. Again, when I put Dunker at tackle as a rookie, no. When I put him at right guard where he has security on both sides, he can use his physicality. I watched him in his bowl game. Yes, he can play right guard, and he can be physical, and they need that, right? And they need young blood at that position. Anthony Hill, seen enough of him, is there in that regard. This is a really good pickup for them. So I like these picks. Again, Kilgore, I think he can come in right away and make some plays at that nickel or that safety. He's got enough violent demeanor. And again, like I said, right, T-Wig? You said Zane Durant can get it done. Let's bring him in and figure it out. And again, we need an edge rusher to come in on third down and long and put Trayvon inside, bring him off the edge with Josh Hines-Allen collapsing the quarterback, collapsing the pocket. I thought we did really good today. I really like our draft. It was very complete, and we hit all types of positions that we need to hit within the scope.
T-Wig, your biggest takeaway. I would also like to note that was fantastic analysis and recap and reaction done by Marques Ogden. I would like to note that we specifically waited to do this until after free agency, or at least the first wave had wrapped up, because I think all three of us would have selected a running back higher if the Jaguars hadn't given a 2-year deal to Chris Rodriguez. So I think that's very important context. Free agency is not done, folks. But obviously, this is an organization, T-Wig, we talked about it on yesterday's program, that has made the conscious move, the pivot to we are either signing blue chip players or trading for them, or we're drafting and developing. That middle ground in between, we don't live there anymore like once upon a time the Jaguars did.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. That's good points. For the defense, because I believe everyone knows that, it's out there that people believe this is going to be a defense. If you had Anthony Hill, Kieran Crawford into your front seven along with Zane Durant, and then with Jalen Kilgore on the back end, everyone is athletic. Everyone is twitchy. Everyone has speed, and they're all quick. And on third downs with Trayvon and Durant lined up next to each other with the twist and the stunt, with the fact that he's a 4'7" guy who doesn't actually have short arms when you compare it to some other guys. I think he's like 32 inches. He's a pretty good player. So there was a comment right before the break that we didn't get any starters. One, how do you know that? This is all built on competition. You'd have never thought that at the end of the year, Parker Washington and Jacoby Myers would be the two leading receivers on this football team, but they were. And at the beginning of the year, the 1, 2, 3 was Travis, BT, and De'Ami Brown. When you think about what won't happen, you never know that Bayshaw Tootin was going to play so well that they felt that they could move on. You never thought that LaQuint Allen could do. Who thought when they went and signed Dennis Gardeck that he was going to have the impact that he had on this football team? You can't say what won't happen. These guys get into practice, and we've stood on that sideline, Mia. If Anthony Hill starts running roughshod and going crazy, why do you think they love Monteric Brown? Because he showed last year during camp who he was. This is an opportunity. You bring athletic guys in, and you don't write anybody off as not being somebody who can't compete. Not with that crew, because they've shown you. They will pivot to the person that gives them the best chance to succeed.
What's pretty impressive with this haul that we had today in the simulation, boys, we didn't have to make one trade back. We didn't have to trade up at all. All these players felt perfectly to the Jaguars. I know some of them are fan favorites. Some of them are not. The beauty of this little exercise is that it is March 18th as we're coming at you live. So we still have a month plus to go before the NFL draft. So we'll run it back at some point in time, and we will do another one of these simulations with some updated thoughts on some of these prospects, because as T-Wig alluded to, Oscar Delp ran that 40-yard dash at Georgia's Pro Day today. Many other Pro Days taking place across the country here over the next 2 weeks. We will be back next Monday for our next round here on the Locked On Jaguar Squad Show. But before we sign off, any other closing thoughts from either of you two gentlemen?
I thought we did a good job. We had some roster spots to fill and some competition at critical positions. I really thought we actually did take the best player available, and then we had a little bit of based on need attached to it, but it kind of lined up perfectly that the people that we really wanted were also people at positions of need for the Jaguars.
Yeah,
Marcus?
I thought it was fantastic. We addressed different needs at a lot of positions: O-line, D-line, interior, edge rusher, linebacker, safety, wide receiver, tight end, running back, potential special teams, scat back, This is a complete draft. And again, this is what we're talking about. You want to draft completely and not just go heavy on one area. You want to spread the love around and grow your talent, so that when other players that are older move on, you have these young guys ready to come in and contribute because they've been working on all this stuff going forward. So it's a great way to look at a full comprehensive draft that we picked up. Great stuff.
And as Social says, we did not flinch, making James Gladstone proud. We appreciate you guys locking in for this edition of Locked On Jaguar Squad Show. Of course, all episodes of the Squad Show and T-Wig's daily program are available on demand each and every day. Make sure you subscribe, you follow, you like, all that good stuff, all things Locked On Jaguars. Until Monday, we will catch you guys later.